Purdue coasts in Piscataway. The Boilers take down the Rutgers, move to 8-0 on the season. This is Boilers in the Stands post-game show, and we're talking about it all starting right now. And we are back here on Boilers in the Stands post-game show. I am your host, Kraig Braggs Jr. Alongside me, as always, is Joe Jackson and Craig Bowers as Purdue wins against Rutgers, who normally will make things interesting for Purdue, but it's a different Rutgers team and obviously a much different Purdue team than usual as Purdue just kind of coasts. We're going to be talking about it all here today. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We appreciate everyone tuning in here as a big college basketball slate of games here tonight, some big time matchups. And obviously Purdue kicks off their Big Ten schedule with Rutgers and a win. So I'll kind of kick it to you guys and give you some instant reactions, and we'll kick it around the horn. So Joe, I'll start with you, man. What'd you think?
Yeah, this was a game where Purdue was clearly the better team, and it looked like it. I think that the final score does not reflect what this game looked like at all, and Purdue still won by 16. This was a game that, Purdue, outside of Rutgers hitting 2 early threes, pretty much controlled from the tip, and basically they just coasted for the entire second half. Like that's just straight up what it was. That this is a team that knows that they were better, knows that the game wasn't going to get away. I think maybe some people could have some issue with that. I think for me, when you look at what Braden and TKR and Fletcher have accomplished, I think at this point in their career, they get a little bit of that benefit of the doubt of just they understand the moment. We've seen it this year, right? Braden knows when he has to step on people's throats, like against Bama, or TKR can be a monster, and Fletch can get going like Texas Tech, just different things like that. So it's not, to me, a concern. It's honestly almost a testament to just Purdue knowing where they're at, being very self-aware, and just understanding that this wasn't a game that you had to go full effort for 40 minutes. And whether that's right or wrong, some can disagree, but just a game that really there's not a whole lot for me to take away from.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, how about you? How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm going to push back just a little bit on the coast of the entire second half because we got to remember there was a 12-0 scoring run early on in the second half. I think once they got past that, I think it finished around 15:45, 16 minutes. Then I think that lead was really pushed out to the point where from that point on they coasted. But 28 run in a 7:37 stretch in the first half to kind of end that first half. Then they come out of second half. After a couple of minutes, they go on that 12-0 run and then kind of really just punch it down. And I do agree with Joe completely from that point on that it really felt like they coasted. And in some ways it felt like a road game big win. Whereas if that's in Mackey and the crowd is going nuts, all those threes are going in, right? When you're in your own home and you got that big of a lead, everything's pitching in. This felt more like a road game blowout where it never got stupid big score, but Purdue certainly took care of business, never felt like the game was in doubt. Lots of contributions from supporting cast, but specifically from one, which I know we're going to get into later. It was a weird game for what Joe and I talked about in the preview show. I think some things went the way we thought they would, and there were some things that didn't, and I'm sure we'll get into that later. And Greg's going to put some money in the mute box.
That's right, I am. But I will say the one person that kind of put this game away early on was Braden Smith, and this was one of those, first 25 minutes of the game where Braden just kind of took over and did what he wanted out there, especially from a scoring perspective. He's certainly been hunting, some assists throughout the year. And tonight it felt like he was more in the mood to, put the ball in the bucket more times than not, especially from the 3-point range. He did have one of the most magnificent passes in the second half to Oscar Clough that you'll ever see. My wife came downstairs for a second and I made her watch the replay. For whatever reason, she was not as impressed I tried to explain to her that the degree of difficulty on that behind the back pass, like entry into that was next level point guard play right there. And it really irritates me that Jenny can't appreciate just how tough of a pass that is.
It's because it's like obviously behind the back, that's cool in itself, but it's like he first of all had to thread it between two defenders. I know everybody is watching this probably watched this also, but I'm still just going to recap it. Like he had to thread it through the initial first two defenders, and then he had to, by wrapping it around him, still put enough like angle on it that it was leading Clough. Because if he didn't lead Clough at all, that was getting stolen by Grant, who was rotating over on like the front side of Clough. Like right, on a normal behind the back like that, you can kind of just hit him maybe a little bit behind the roller and it's whatever. But like Clough was far up already, and he still was able to put it in front of him. Like that was legitimately one of the best passes I've probably ever seen.
Yeah, it really was. We've seen a few. We talked to Matt Painter before the season started. You can still watch that interview if you haven't already. A lot of some evergreen material in there, and he said he's never seen Braden Smith turn the ball over, knock on wood, when he does a behind the back or between the legs pass. And he's been busting out a few here lately, and he just keeps seemingly finding these guys in stride. It's definitely impressive. Blake Widmer's already given that up as the play of the game. I think that's kind of the easy money one of the night. But yeah, I mean, I think, and for those asking, I've seen a bunch of people asking, so just address it off the top. Jack Benner was out tonight with an injury.
Illness.
Illness.
Thank you. Yeah, illness. Thank you. So no worries. He's fine, but couldn't play tonight. So that's why he was absent. But I just think from the fact of the reason I think anybody's going to focus on the coasting, at least from my perspective, is like we just get so hammered with, oh, you've got to be KenPom this on offense and KenPom that on defense, because if you're not at equals, you're not going to win a national championship. Like that's what the metrics say. So then when you give up points like that, and instead of winning by 30, you only win by 15s, does that spoil your KenPom rating?
I mean, KenPom did update. Purdue didn't move at all. Actually, Purdue won 81-65, and KenPom, I believe, predicted 80-65. So, and the exact number of possessions as well. KenPom was spot on for this one. So, ratings don't adjust. Like, yes, you could have probably gotten marginally more if like Purdue really wanted to late in the game. I will say, like the whole cutoff thing, it is great for like graphics and getting some like clicks and stuff, but the difference between being the 21st best defense and the 31st is so marginal that like it doesn't matter. It just hasn't happened, or whatever the cutoff is. It just hasn't happened yet. So yes, it does affect, but probably not quite as much as maybe some think.
And in KenPom specifically, because there are other metrics that do like cut hard at slop time. Like they have a number. If you get up by a certain point, then they just basically weight it less or quit adding it in altogether. But I don't think KenPom does have a slop time, do they, Joe?
I think that's only Haslam metrics. At least that I know of. Maybe Torvik does too. I'm not sure.
I was going to say, I thought Torvik did, but I could be wrong.
Well, and I see Blake Widmer here in the chat. I guess earlier, Brad Widmer gave that play of the game, and I called him Blake. And so one day, Brad Widmer will get his due justice in the chat. But if you're familiar with the program, then you'll know that there are many people I never get their name right after years of supporting this show. So, Brad, you get in line.
But here's the thing, Greg. One of them lives in Jamaica and watches our show, and one does not. So the fact that we have somebody in Jamaica watching our show, they need extra love.
And Brad's in Jamaica.
I don't remember now.
Don't lecture me about where, then we can't figure out who's from where. Okay.
I just remember one of them lives in Jamaica.
Well, that is random. I'll say that much. So shout out to the Widmers. But cool. That's very cool nonetheless. All right. Well, where do you guys want to take this? Because I mean, you almost feel bad, Joe, like, because I'm with you. in a game like this, once again, like we're not like, hey, we love the gas. Saturday's game is going to be crazy. You know, Iowa State is a huge matchup at home, and maybe we can look ahead a little bit at the end or something like that. But we've done a few post-game shows now where we're like, there's not much to take away from this game. You know, we've done a couple of these at least, and you almost feel guilty saying that because we don't take these for granted. We wait all off season for this time of year to come. But the fact remains, like, there isn't any grandiose statements you can make from this game other than the fact that Rutgers just isn't what they normally are in terms of giving Purdue a hard time yearly. I mean, it's just kind of been their thing, especially at their house. And then outside of that, I mean, you know, Braden Smith doing his thing, and we're going to get into some of the individual play. You know, Jakari Harris seems to keep getting more and more involved, so I'm sure we'll touch on that. So I'm not saying there's nothing to take away from this game, but there aren't very many huge takeaways. So it's just one of those things where we're going to kind of walk through this and talk about the team stats. Maybe Joe will have the board for us for a minute, you know, with the 1-3-1 look. I mean, I think we continue to see Trey Kaufman-Renn. It's not just Braden Smith at times playing like that point guard. You see Trey Kaufman-Renn play that point forward role when they go into zone and Trey comes to the middle of the court, and he just does such a fantastic job in decision-making of to kick to the corner to the shooter or lob it up top to the other big, whether it's Jacobson or Clough. And I think he's really become kind of a difference maker on how they break down some of these different looks. So again, I'm not saying there's nothing we can take away from what we saw from tonight, just probably short of some of the bigger reactions, the bigger takeaways of the, you know, 50,000-foot view of what this team is going to be this season.
Yeah, we're at this point in the season. It's only 8 games in, so basically 25% of the regular season. But we know who Purdue is at their core. This isn't a game where you find out a lot. Now, the Iowa State game, that's where you find out more about who this team really is, right? And a couple of of the games coming up. I mean, Marquette isn't great. Auburn is solid. But this is a game, yeah, like you said, it's just, you know who Purdue is. They showed for 25 minutes who they were, kind of just coasted the final 15. Braden's elite. TKR is awesome. Fletch had an off night. Like, just kind of, you know, everybody did their thing. Jakari's the one guy that, you know, I think maybe popped more than what he has been, and hopefully that continues. But yeah, nothing too high level, but at the same time, it is just good to see that that's where this Purdue team should be at. Like, we shouldn't be coming away from this Rutgers game being like, oh man, Purdue has this or this or this. It should be like, oh yeah, they're just clearly better than a Rutgers team that's probably the worst team in the Big Ten, if not the worst, like the second worst.
I do have 2 big takeaways. And I mean, Joe did rank Rutgers the worst team in the Big Ten. Remember that, Rutgers fans who follow Joe and Kraig officially did rank them the worst.
They'll agree with.
I know. I'm just kidding. And I think I agree.
Didn't look all that good on my TV tonight.
No, they didn't.
They're at bottom 2.
But nonetheless, I do have 2 big takeaways. You know, to me, the biggest change from 2 years ago to last year, back to this year, has been rebounding. And coming in, like, the 2 exhibition games, first 2 games of the season with TK out, it was like, oh, Clough did not fix our rebound. And I know now we've seen it multiple games, but it feels like in some ways you're just waiting for that shoe to drop, almost like last year when the defense really turned it on. And you're like, is this sustainable or is it not? It clearly looks sustainable to me. And they said on the broadcast tonight, Purdue is the only team in the country that has 2 guys averaging a double-double in points and rebounds between Clough and TK. You look again tonight, total rebounds, not a monster difference, but still plus 11, plus 5 in offensive rebounds. They've played some teams with decent-sized front courts. It feels like it's real. It feels like it's here to stay. It feels like the whole it got brought up, but it almost got laughed off when people are like, well, when TK plays a 4, he's going to dominate the boards. Well, it turns out that's true, entirely true, because, and we'll get into TK, but like, I looked up in the second half, and there was a moment I was shocked because I had no idea that TKR was having the game that he was having based on what I saw early on. And it felt in a very Zach Edey way of just like, oh my God, he has that many points and that many rebounds. I didn't even realize he was having a good game. And that's the status that he is at right now as a Purdue player. The other big takeaway for me, Greg, is all summer long we talked about how deep this team was. Everybody who went to practice, everybody who just scouted these guys coming in as transfers or incoming freshmen and Meyer to this team talked about how deep this team was going to be. And again, very similar to the rebounding, 2 exhibition games, 2 games to start the season. It didn't necessarily look like that was true. Go to Baja Mar, all of a sudden the other guys start stepping up. Tonight again, other than Braden Smith, every other starter started really, really slow tonight. And it was an entirely different guy who hasn't had a big game all year, who really stepped up until the other regulars could really get going tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think from the other part of it where I start to play now that we're 8 games in or so and other teams, I think the other thing I'm starting to do is the compare game of teams I've seen a few times now. And when you're starting to look ahead and skip forward, which we shouldn't do, and just kind of live in the moment. But when you're watching Duke and Florida earlier, and they win in a thriller at the end, Florida hit a 3 to take the lead, and then Duke returned the favor and hit a 3 with about 8 seconds left or so. Florida turned the ball over and ended up losing. But my point of that is when I was watching Cam Boozer, who is unbelievable, very good player, and just a man amongst boys in a lot of ways. But I also was watching the way Florida would just let him get position into the paint. And I'm sure he's going to be able to do that against many a teams, many a players. But just watching him, I'm like, I just have to feel like a team like Purdue isn't going to just let him walk all the way into the paint like he was doing time and again tonight, many times, and getting great position near the rim. So, like, when I'm comparing, like right now, UConn and Kansas are on. I got my little side eye on it. You got Kentucky and Kansas, or Kentucky and UNC playing, and so you're playing a little bit of the compare game, but you got a few teams at that top, Arizona and Duke and Purdue and a few others, and you're trying to figure out like how do they stack up against them. And to your point, Kraig, with the way these bigs are playing down there, we all know what Braden Smith's going to do. We all know what Fletcher's lawyer is going to do, but these bigs and the way they're playing together, definitely formidable, and somebody that, all teams obviously are going to have to take very seriously in a tournament run that is way down the road. But that was, I think, the other takeaway as I watched some of these big time matchups here tonight. So let's move on to the next portion of our program. Go ahead, Kraig. I'm sorry.
I just want to chime in real quick on that point because I think it brings up a really important point about NCAA men's basketball right now in general. A lot of teams get talked about having really skilled bigs. And I think Joe would agree with me on this point, but tell me if you don't. But a lot of those really high quality bigs that get talked about are more rim runners, right? They're in the dunker spot, they're catching lobs, they're rebounding and doing putbacks, but so few of them actually have back to the basket post moves. So few of them are actual big, wide physical bodies that can do more than block shots, but can defend guys down low and just be that body, be that physical presence down there. And Purdue has 2 of them. And we saw that coming out into the second half. I had a buddy who had the point line on TKR, and he's like, why are they running everything to Clough? Give it to TKR. And it's like, nah, we have 2, right? They can feed Clough. They can feed TK. TK obviously goes off in a much bigger way, but they can do it for Clough too. It is just a rare commodity to have in college basketball, I think. And obviously more skilled bigs are staying that are traditional bigs in college basketball because of NIL. They can make money and be impactful here, whereas a lot of those guys that might be a little bit undersized don't really have a place in the NBA. But still, it's just everybody's kind of being trained to be a big. It's just like be a weak side shot blocker, be a rim runner. Very, very rare to have 2 guys that are skilled with their back to the basket.
Yeah, it's well said. All right, well, let's take a quick. Well, I'm sorry, Joe. Did you have anything to that?
I was waiting to see if Joe agreed with me.
I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, I don't know many teams that have like two back to the basket bigs like that. I mean, there's some really skilled bigs in college basketball, but just like rifling through, there aren't many with like two skill. Like Michigan does. That's the first team that pops into my head. But it's like Duke has Boozer, Texas Tech has Toppin. They're both obviously elites, but it's not less teams definitely with the duo to be able to do it.
Yeah. And the fact that they play together, I think, certainly stands out as well. So, sorry, I didn't mean to shorten that thought, Kraig. I had to clear my throat and I started to panic. But yeah, appreciate everybody hanging out here on Boilers in the Stands postgame show. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, we certainly appreciate your viewership and hanging out with us. But if you head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel and like the show, those are certainly the easiest ways you can show support and help us build what we're trying to build here at Boilers in the Stands. So we appreciate everybody hanging out. So I'll kind of let you guys kind of steer from here and where you guys want to take this. I mean, whether it's team stats, you want to get into team stats here, guys?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do it. Joe, how about you lead the way on this?
Oh man, it's like getting put on the spot. Class presentation. There we go. For the game, Purdue obviously wins 81-65. They do shoot 10 of 26 from three. Rutgers has a good shooting night. We brought it up in the preview. It's like, hey, they can actually sort of shoot the ball. 8 of 17 from three, lower volume. Purdue dominates the glass 36-25. 18 assists, only 9 turnovers for Purdue. 18 assists on 27 made field goals. Do go 17 of 20 from the free throw line. 13 second chance points for Purdue. 30 points in the paint. 14 fast break points, which feels like a season high for them for Purdue. And basically, Rutgers had a lot of the opposites of that, where they only had 7 fast break points, only 5 second chance points, only 12 assists on 25 makes, and they did end up having 9 turnovers as well. I think, Kraig, you probably hit on it earlier with like rebounding is just continuing to be a thing. We mentioned in the preview, this is not a Rutgers team that forces turnovers, but it still was good to see Purdue take care of the ball. And honestly, out of their 9 turnovers, I feel like 2 or 3 was just kind of Purdue trying stuff, truthfully, of just, trying to make different passes or things like that. So good effort there. 10 of 26 from three, like, I don't know. They ended up 38.5%, and I don't know if I feel like that was too high or too low. It felt like it was very like hot and cold, where they'd knock down a couple and then they would just go cold for a sec.
Well, and I mean, 7 of the 10 of them came from 2 guys, right? And I mean, I think that was the thing. It felt like so many guys had wide open looks. And I think I tweeted out towards the end of the first half, like, if Purdue was knocking down wide open 3 looks like they normally do, it feels like they should be up by 15 or 16 right now. I mean, there were just guys like CJ and Fletch who normally hit those shots that they just weren't falling. And I think we need to start with Braden when we move to the player takeaways. This game particularly, even though TKR probably finishes with the most impressive line, but I think we need to start with Braden, because to me, this is the first game all year where he was like, okay, my starting 5 isn't really hitting shots right now, so let me just take the game over. And a good reminder to like the rest of the country that Braden can do that whenever he wants to from a shooting standpoint too.
Well, I mean, if you guys want to go right there with it, I mean, I think that's a perfectly good segue. What do you got, Joe?
I'm going to cut off the perfect segue really quick. Because you brought it up, Kraig, Purdue missed a lot of open shots. I also thought Rutgers in the first half, they just made a lot of tough ones. Like there's a lot where I was just like, oh man, that's good defense. And Rutgers is just drilling a 17-footer. And it's like, all right, whatever, you live with it. All right. It's good. Perfect segue back on.
To that point, as I ruin your segue, is, Rutgers do get a 10-0 run. All of a sudden, it makes it a little bit of a game. I think it was a 5-point game. Purdue immediately responds with a 10-0 run of their own and kind of slammed the door to halftime and kind of left nothing to be denied. and maybe this is the other thought. I mean, you guys brought up the rebounding, and maybe, this is kind of spoiling a little bit of the individual breakdown, but in terms of Oscar Clough, yeah, they get 36 rebounds to Rutgers 25. And I think we're kind of past the point where anybody after the first two games of like, who is Oscar? What is Oscar Clough? What is he going to be to this team? And any questions, and certainly me, I'll be the first to admit those first few games. If you watch our post game shows, I'm not going to say I was sounding the alarm on Oscar Clough, but I was like, hey, what are we seeing out of this guy? And so from that standpoint, the fact that I went so hard those first few games in my question of him, I think I do have to point out how thoroughly impressed I have been since then, in terms of how he rebounds the basketball, because it isn't just the rebounds he gets, it's the rebounds he doesn't get to the stat line that he causes other players on his team to get simply by having active hands at all times. He has the active motor, he has the body, but it's also the hands. He's just always getting his hand on the basketball, and sometimes that causes somebody else to get the rebound. Sometimes that causes, Rutgers or the opponent to, have the ball go off their leg and go out of bounds, and it's Purdue's ball. And so some of those things I think get lost in the stat sheet, but I think Oscar just does such a great job of creating extra possessions in that regard.
Absolutely. And because, Clough only had 3 rebounds, but like CJ had 5, Braden had 3, TK had 13. Like a few of those from each of them was purely because Clough was the one that was doing the dirty work, and he doesn't get the stats for it. But yeah, it has definitely been good to see what he's been able to do.
Okay. You want to go to individual breakdowns now? You want to do the minutes? What do you want to do?
Let's just do the player. I don't think there's really anything to call out from the minute standpoint for this one.
Okay. All right. Well, Kraig, take it away. You wanted Braden first. You got Braden first. He goes,
well,
I'm sorry. You okay over there, Kraig? Did he die? What was that noise?
We are struggling on transitions tonight, boys.
Well,
but we're going to get it together.
And then Joe ruined it, so just forget it.
That was on me.
We had this perfect pass assist, pass back, everything was going well, and then
now
Joe
we're past
all 3 of us have done this now, though. To be fair.
Yeah. Now we're in that set where we're passing it too much. Somebody needs to shoot. So Braden goes 16 points on the night, 5 of 11 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. Make sure I get this right. He had 3 rebounds, 8 assists in 35 minutes of action. So Kraig, you wanted to go first on Braden. You got it here. I actually would have thought he put up more points than he did, the way it felt at the start of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been a lot of conversation out there, especially around the National Player of the Year race, of Braden's not actually scoring enough to be a serious contender in the National Player of the Year race. And in all honesty, in most of those games, it felt like he got other people going. And if he was getting other people going, he was going to keep passing the ball. And I mean, the one exception to that to me is probably that Memphis game, where it felt like Memphis actually bothered him and pushed him off his spot, and he struggled a little bit shooting. And you saw that carry over in the Texas Tech game where he hits that 3 and kind of puts his hands on his head and thanks God for a minute that he got one to go down. But by and large, I think that was more just him wanting to distribute and make sure that all of the supporting cast got going, felt like they were in a rhythm to make this team as good as they possibly could be when it gets into crunch time. And to me, this is the first game where coming out of the gate, I mean, literally nobody else in that starting 5 was hitting. TK was missing his little push shots and floaters. Cox missed some of those corner 3s looks that he got. He misses a little 15-footer. Clough misses a couple bunnies early on. And it was Braden was okay, I guess this is a game I'm going to have to score. And Joe and I coming in this game, if I remember right in the preview show, we kind of talked about this game this should be a big assist game for Braden, more so than a high scoring game based upon how we thought Rutgers would defend him. And it didn't matter. He just shot over people. He hit one of those, I think his third shot after he hit the 2 threes, he shoots an 18-foot fadeaway where he drifts 4 or 5 feet back on the shot when he takes it. And when you see that go in, you just know it's one of those nights for Braden. In all honesty, in the second half, and this is probably one of the most impressive things to me for Braden. Every second half I've seen, if you think back to that Houston NCAA tournament game, he comes back out, and Greg, you're a big NFL guy. They talk about adjustments at halftime. It feels like every time Braden comes out from halftime, it's like, okay, like your defense did a little something to me. I had halftime. Now I'm going to pick you apart because I had some time to think about what I was seeing out there. And again, tonight, to me, it felt like they forced him into more of a scorer in the first half. In the second half, he came out and was like, okay, I'm going to pick you apart. I'm going to throw a behind the back pass to Oscar Clough, needle it between two people. I know what you're trying to do to me now, and you can't stop me.
Well, and I think the other thing too was at times when they had the opportunity to get in transition, push the basketball. Don't let them get set up, and I think in the early goings of the game, I think they were just letting Rutgers defense get set up a few too many times where Braden couldn't find those passing lanes and he just had to take matters into his own hands. He only did it once tonight. So this isn't a criticism of one of the best players in college basketball, but just an observation. There is always like 1 to 3 times a game where he will go to the rim and have a clear layup and then try to pass it to someone right at the rim. And I'm like, just lay it in. Like, what? Why are you like, but that's what he does. I understand that. So again, not a criticism of one of the best players in college basketball, but there are times where I am surprised that he makes that decision at the very last second.
Yeah, the one today wasn't great, where it felt like he was pretty wide open, and I mean, he is a very unselfish player, so he probably just is like, oh, I can dump it off to my superstar forward and let him get even more points. But yeah, that one was, he should have probably just went up. You guys kind of nailed it with Braden. Like, he can just kind of take over the game. He did the scoring early, and I don't think he had that many second half points to be. Yeah, he had 5 in the second half, but second half was a little bit more just with his passing, being able to pick it apart. Rutgers had no answer. If they wanted to play drop, it's done. They play their kind of high hedge. He's awesome at just drawing the big out and getting whatever he wants. Honestly, he had 8 assists. Probably should have had like 13. Also, he for sure had 9. I'm very confident they'll stat correct him. Unless I'm just completely misremembering who threw their post entry pass. But there was a play early in the first half where he like dumps it down to TKR, and it was one of those post ups where TKR just like catches and immediately goes up. I swear that was Braden, and that should have been another assist. Regardless, still, right, he's the floor general and just kind of made sure that Rutgers was not going to be in this game.
And Jeremy Hunter had him at 10. So, all right, well, let's get him to 10 then, because he's knocking down the assist record as he's second all-time in Big Ten history. $20 super chat from Olive D. Jazzer said, flipped over to UConn versus Kansas after watching our Boilers roll. These are flawed basketball squads, athletic for sure, but still flawed. Able to see that because we've got such a fundamentally sound squad to always watch. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how these teams stack up, but obviously Arizona and Duke, I think, are the 2 teams that have my highest attention of teams that can contend with Purdue at the end, just in terms of everything they bring to the table. So fun to watch, fun to think about, dreaming of a March Madness run to Indianapolis. Nothing wrong with that as fans, but Boilers got to focus on the game ahead of them, and that is Iowa State coming up on Saturday, a big one that I unfortunately will not be able to attend. Very upset about that, but I have work duty calls. I will be lucky enough to be at the Loyola Princeton game in Chicago. Loyola has become a sponsor to CHGO, and so have to go and rub elbows with the fine people at Loyola. But their basketball team's not as good as it's been in years past. So missing Purdue Iowa State for this. I made sure everyone understood how committed I am to what I do at CHGO to miss it, because that is one of the hottest tickets I've seen in quite some time for a non-conference game for Purdue at Mackey. So happy for everyone else that's going to that game, including my mom. She'll be there.
So if you're not going to be on, if Halliburton is there, if I happen to like schmooze him at halftime and talk him into coming on the show post game.
Yeah, I mean, if Halliburton takes over my spot on the post game show. Like, who am I? I mean,
If-
can just.
If we're being honest, if Halliburton's on the show, Greg is getting on this show at some point. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
like
I will jump on real quick. Real quick. I did hear you. I think Kraig, you were saying he was going to be there, so it'll be interesting. All right,
Supposedly, there's a rumor. There is a rumor.
There is a rumor.
he said he was. I thought.
We'll see if I can get to the at Iowa State game next year. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where do we want to take this next? You guys. TK. All right. What do we got here, Joe? Let's pull up the stats. Trey Kaufman-Renn has 19 points leading the way, 7 of 11 shooting, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, only 2 fouls, 2 turnovers in 32 minutes of action. Not a bad day at the office for Trey Kaufman-Renn.
I thought Kraig was going because he was the one that said TKR was next, but 19 and 13.
Well, but he said, "Okay, Joe." So like,
I missed that one. That's on me. I don't like. This is a game. It's just kind of across the board. It's like, yeah, TKR did his thing. He's one of the best forwards in all of college basketball. Rutgers really didn't have any answer for him aside from hoping that he missed a shot, and he only missed 4 of those. I thought defensively was pretty good, just kind of the way that he was moving. It was interesting to see what they would do. They did start him on Grant. Thought he did fine. Like, Grant's a kind of funky player where he's going to get a couple tough ones to go, and that's just kind of who he is. Really nothing else stood out to me other than we've already hit it. Like, just a monster on the glass, an absolute monster.
It's wild to me that we are at this point with TK, and I shouldn't be surprised. Like, we did this last year too, to a degree, but like, he started slow. He and it happens often, right? He'll miss a few of those push shots right off the back, and then once they start going, they just keep going. But that, like, thought in your head is like, man, he started slow. And I turned to my buddy that I was watching the game with early in the second half, and I'm like, okay, like, now Trey's finally getting going. And I pulled up the stat sheet, and I was like, oh, he's already at 14 and 11, like, early in the second half. And I was like, oh, okay, Trey was already going. I just didn't, like, in real time, didn't realize how far he'd gotten down that path. Because, I mean, like I said, 7-11 from the field, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. Dude played ridiculous.
Yeah, he does. And he's another guy that I can be very hard on when I watch the games. I'm like, sometimes, like, I feel like he's like tripping over himself at all times. But he's not. Like, he just is so physically dominant. And so and to your point, Kraig, like, my expectation standard level for Trey Kaufman-Renn is so unreasonable. Like, I'm just like, he'll miss one shot, and I'm like, I'll start saying things that I would sound like an idiot if I said them on the post game, but it's just the natural fan reaction as you watch a game. I think we all can, understand that. But he is, somebody just said in the chat, Mr. Consistency. And he really takes it to guys from a physicality perspective and really wears you down. And I do like when, he kind of puts his foot down and says enough's enough when teams start to go on a run and then they give it to him and he'll get in there and get the and one and kind of be the rally breaker, against the other team in that regard. And I talked about it earlier, but I just think he's doing a fantastic job as a decision maker, as a passer, on that short roll, and them trying to break down some of those zone looks. And Joe, you can speak to some of that a little better than I can. And I know we have on previous post-game shows this year, but he is really doing a fantastic job where he doesn't just get thrown into the post and back down and maybe a kick out. Now he's operating like a lot like what I remember of Joakim Noah, on the Bulls years ago, where he really got into his bag as kind of that point forward right there at the free throw line. And you've got all these options, and he can kick it down to Clough, the high-low action, or the alley-oop to Jacobson, or the kick out, or the, double screen. Braden comes back around. Like, he's operating kind of just the same way Braden dissects a defense from that standpoint. Trey Kaufman-Renn does, as well, as kind of that middle anchor for the offense, the real engine that kind of makes this thing tick.
He's can break a defense. You can sell out on Braden and at least make other guys try to beat you. But if those other guys turn out to be TKR, that's when you get some issues. And like you said, like the short roll where Rutgers was putting 2 on the ball defensively in pick and roll. So now they put 2 on the ball. TKR has a short roll, and basically it's a 2-on-1, and TKR just has to read the defender. And if the defender steps up, it's a lob. If he stays back, it's that floater. And I just checked. I think TKR is shooting like 70% on his floaters so far this season. Just an absurd rate for that type of shot. And especially since he took a 15-foot floater today. Like, it didn't go in, but he took a 15-foot floater.
Right.
And that's just kind of the trust that he has. So, Salty B88 just pulled up. There was a good comment. Says the passing among our bigs is next level, and I think you saw that between all 3 of them. We can maybe loop in Clough and Jacobson into this discussion. Like, I thought the connection between all 3, especially TKR and Clough's passing. Jacobson still has probably some room to work on, but he's very good at receiving the passes from other bigs. I just thought you see the synergy between all 3 of them and what they're able to do, and the ball doesn't stick. And it felt today like the ball just did not stick really in anybody's hands.
Well, and Kyle Thomas brings it up as well, as we lump all 3 of the bigs in, but when they are clicking and it goes Smith to TKR and then that quick lob, and Clough had one. I think the lob came from Braden on that one, but regardless, like when they do that hockey assist that ends in the alley-oop to Jacobson or Clough at the end, it is a thing of beauty to watch. And it really kind of highlights just how hard this team is to defend, because the reason it consistently has happened so far this year is the only other option is for teams to stay home. And when they do that, then you're going to get TKR walking to the rim and laying it in for an and one. So you have 2 options there. You're going to start by doubling and getting the ball out of Braden's hands. Then you got to double TKR again and get it out of his hands. And then before you know it, somebody's wide open underneath the basket. And so, like,
and then you have
yeah, go ahead.
And then you have to hope that one of like the 40% 3-point shooters that they have doesn't knock down an open 3. Like, that's why this offense is so elite. It's Braden's elite, TKR's elite, Clough Jacobson have been awesome in their roles, and then there's shooters everywhere too.
And I think it's really important too, just in this analytical stage, right? If every defense is saying push people into mid-range shots, and between bigs and guards, if you're going to like only allow one thing to get off, you're going to be really happy when bigs are taking mid-range shots. So the fact that Purdue has TK that can shoot that, 6 to 12 footer so consistently in that floater game at that range. And then if he can do that, so now you commit, right? One of the reasons he works so good with other bigs like Clough, like Jacobson, is because if those guys do have to say, okay, like, this is a shot we're normally going to give every big in the country, but now we do have to commit and press up, then you've got them in the dunker spot. Like, it's a unique thing, and TK makes it work at such a high level because he uniquely can do what he does, in my mind, Joe.
Yeah, like he's who connects I don't know if connects the whole offense is the right word, but he's somebody that can do a bit of everything, and having that besides Braden is really big.
All right, who's up next?
We need to give a shout out to Jason Depew, don't we?
Yeah, we do have a couple of super chats in here. I didn't know if but yeah, appreciate you. Jason Depew, $10 super chat saying, thanks for another great show, guys. Everyone, please hit the like button to help the guys out. Thank you very much, Jason, the one person who I have consistently started to get their name right as of this year. And brother Ted, $5 super chat says, number 10, Iowa State looks legit. Forward Momcilovic has shot 56. Momcilovic. I like Momcilovic. Okay. Has shot 56% from 3 in the last 3 games, 15 and 27, which included a game against the 14th ranked St. John's. So big test coming up here on Saturday. No question about it. Bunch of big games that day as well, as college basketball is officially underway. Thank you, everybody, for their super chat. Salty B jumping in here, $5 super chat, says, shout out also to the Big Maple for his 32 points, 17 rebound, 5 block game. Boiler up. Yeah, Zach Edey here. I start a few of those comments, Salty B, because it definitely has to be something we acknowledge here tonight, is how Zach Edey is taking over at the NBA level, and we are very proud of him. And it's awesome to see him kind of dominating. Who knew? Zach, I guess, can hang in the NBA level. The skill set that we tried to tell everybody year after year is a thing. And yes, he learned how to do a drop step at Purdue. Thank you for all the Twitter analysts out there. Olive D Jazzer, $5 super chat, says, and yes, I agree with the under the radar of Braden for National Player of the Year. Dude is just so locked into the defense, and his vision is otherworldly, regardless of the stats. Yeah, when they were showing the National Player of the Year candidates and people that'll have that potential to win it, is it really going to simply come down to if Braden breaks the all-time assist record for them to give it to him? Is that what it's going to have to be for?
Well, he's not good. Like, if he breaks it, it won't be till the postseason. I mean, if he breaks it in the regular season, he's just getting it, because he's probably aaverageing like
15 a game.
10 and a half, 11 assists, something like that a game.
That's going to be.
I think there's part of it too, is just like, right, he is a returner. He's been awesome. I think, even like JT Toppin can kind of fall into this, where, right, they return, we know how good they are, whereas, Yaxel is kind of the shiny new toy at Michigan. You have this insane freshman class, and they're all kind of new. And we're still only 7, 8, 9 games in. So those are kind of going to be the main storylines. And at the end of the day, these awards to some degree are narrative driven. So it's kind of just like I feel like it's admiring all the new players right now. And then come game like 20, it'll be like, okay, where's everybody actually at?
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Jakari, because that's really the last player we need to highlight in a big way in my mind, and then we can kind of move through everybody else relatively quick tonight in my mind. So, Greg, you want to pull up stats one more time for Jakari?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure can, as Joe did that for me because I was stalling and pretending like I was about to do that. Jakari Harris has 11 points on 4 of 5 shooting on the night, 3 of 4 from 3-point range. He had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and in 21 minutes of action for Jakari, as he's starting to find his way into double figures the last few games.
Yeah, and to me, like we talked about last game, it felt like maybe he started to find his rhythm a little bit. And I even questioned a little bit, because he did score a few times, but it still felt he just didn't look super comfortable. And to me, the biggest thing was everything looked comfortable out there. Nothing looked out of the ordinary, didn't look pressed. Just takes that wide open 3 and hits it right away. The first time he gets a shot at that, he scored on a bucket before that, or no, he got a drive on a breakaway, and it was a goaltend call, right? When he got down there.
Yeah.
But knocks down 3 out of 4 threes, just stepped into him, looked super comfortable. In a way, Joe and Greg, like I feel like, so I'm used to doing preview shows, Greg, so I'm used to just only saying Joe's name when I respond, but I apologize for that. In a way, like I feel like he was built up so much in the offseason by multiple sources of how great he looked. It's almost looked like he's tried to press and show everybody how much he's improved. And to me, tonight was the first night where he just went out and balled and looked comfortable. I thought he was critical in a road game, similar to CJ in that Memphis game, where like just early on, just hit some buckets until your main dudes can really get going. 11 points, 4 or 5, 3 or 4 from 3. Thought he was just really, really good tonight.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me when you compare him to CJ Cox, who they just will be forever banded together like Fletcher and Braden, Jakari has a quicker trigger. CJ, to me, CJ has gotten hot here lately, so maybe I'm misspeaking here, but I do feel like there's always a little bit of hesitation with CJ maybe not always, but at times. Whereas Jakari, I think, like in a night like tonight, plays that role well where they're going to kick it out and he's going to knock it down. I know CJ certainly in the corner when he's open, he's going to take that. But if he's at the elbow three, like sometimes I feel like he's still got that point guard mentality where he's looking to kind of figure the defense out, where Jakari might be more apt to go up with it quicker. Am I incorrect in saying that?
No, I don't think so. I think CJ, once he sees one go, then kind of all bets are off and he's willing to let it fly. I think Jakari's more willing to just step in and fire, and tonight did get them to go. And I think this kind of shows the testament again of the depth of this team. CJ has an off night shooting the ball, and Jakari's able to step in. Now, everybody, or maybe not everybody, but people that have watched the show probably know I'm a big Jakari guy. Like, I still think he's a very good player. I still think he is absolutely going to get there. Maybe the consistency this season won't quite be to that level, but I'm still very convinced that next year, senior year, like, he is going to become a very, very good player. And this is the type of game that he doesn't need to have this game every night, but right, you need probably one of him or CJ to have some night like this. And maybe that doesn't always mean shooting 75% from three, but being productive on both ends of the floor. I thought he moved the ball pretty well. Just, yeah, like Kraig said, was very comfortable. And sometimes just getting shots to go changes everything, because I think there are times where Jakari looks as good as he did today, except for the shot doesn't go down. And that changes how we view a lot, obviously, because that's the point of basketball. But getting the shot to go, that's where the confidence then can kind of go and can keep building. So, right, just getting right. Braggs, you're on it with CJ and Jakari are going to be banded together. Purdue just needs one of them. Now, if there's going to be a game or two where they both do, and that's whoever they play that night's just Purdue is just going to probably beat them by a good amount, but just need one of them. Today it was Jakari. If this was a closer game, I would bet Jakari would have got more run in the second half. But just, yeah, solid, good game. David L. Dillman says he was locked in on defense. Yeah, I was really impressed with the defense today. I thought, because it hasn't quite been there. I think some of the couple games before this defensively for him, and I thought today he was very much back on track with his rotations and just understanding where he needed to be. And then, of course, the on-ball pressure also.
Yeah, but and just real quick, because I don't have a good poker face, Greg. And when you said quicker trigger, I think I didn't show a good poker face. So when you say quicker trigger, I'm thinking shot speed, not necessarily confidence to take the shot. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you 100% that Jakari, like, has this more random comp.
He loads up slower. I'm more the decision.
CJ kind of does too, though. CJ takes a bit in his shot. I wouldn't say he has, like, maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't say
Jakari
has a long.
Jakari
has a little bit more
slower.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't even know what my second statement was going to be on top of that, because that got derailed. But no, I thought Jakari was great tonight. So let's move on to the next guy.
Yeah, I see Mike is roasting me in the chat for not being able to pronounce Momlovich or whatever his name is.
Momsilovich. To be fair, I only knew that because there was somebody that I went to school with.
He's calling me Diet Dr. Pepperovich. That one was good. The other ones were, but that one was really good. All right.
He was roasting you for being from the region.
Yeah, he's right. I'm sure Sasha wouldn't be happy with me about it either, but it is what it is. Okay. All right. Like Kraig said, I think we kind of highlighted who we needed to here tonight. Fletcher Lawyer, 12 points, but only 3 of 11 shooting. Like he really had trouble finding his range in a lot of ways, but still found a way to get into double figures in 28 minutes of action. Outside of that, I don't really think there's much takeaway other than the fact that he was struggling early on in the first half. I mean, all eyes are always on Omer Meyer. He 1 of 5 shooting. He always seems to kind of have moments where you're kind of like, he's still trying to figure out his game, so I don't know if you guys have any overriding thoughts with that. Liam Murphy knocked down a 3, looked pretty pure, the only shot he took of the night. So, just from a kicking it around standpoint of the rest of them here tonight, those are kind of my thoughts, but, I don't know if you guys have any singular thoughts about anybody else on the team or if we're wrapping here.
Myers'
my only,
defensive intensity was good. It stood out to me, especially that one play. I mean, I think he was brought in purely for size, but like he was brought in over CJ to close the first half when it was a defensive pure possession. Now, again, I do think that was more of just like he had to guard Buchanan, who's 6'7", 235 pounds. So that's probably just trying to get a little bit more size on him to guard that would be my guess, but it still at least I think is worth noting that that was where they went for the defensive lineup. This offensively, it's going to be kind of who he is. He's going to have games where he's awesome. He's going to have games where it looks like a struggle a bit. He's a freshman. It's going to happen. Like, I don't know. I'm not, I think if your expectation of Meyer is superstar every game, then like, yeah, this is really disappointing. Now maybe in a year or two, that's where his expectations should be closer to. But for me this year, these are the type of games he's going to just have them randomly. I don't know if I have really anything else. Jacobson, I thought was pretty good defensively. I know he wasn't too involved offensively. Yeah, I don't have much else for anybody.
my only thing is like Liam Murphy is who he is, right? Like he has like this is Liam Murphy's greatest stat line: one shot from three, hit it.
And it was pure, and it was pure too.
It was pure. Like didn't touch anything but the bottom of the net. But we've talked multiple times about the fact that Murphy can like literally walk in from the street and drill a three. But I guess I would say with him too, like I didn't notice anything just absolutely horrendous defensively out there. And I guess he surprised me more that he's been able to hold up as much as he can defensively. And maybe that's scheme or whoever else is around him at the time. But I mean, hasn't looked bad on that end necessarily. I guess, only other thing for me is CJ finds a way to impact the game still. 4-4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds. Davis scores 9 points tonight. Only 2 of those came against him. The rest came against Jakari. So, like, he still finds a way to impact the game out there tonight.
I do like how CJ, when things are starting to get messy underneath the rim, CJ will just like randomly pop up underneath the rim and get the ball and lay it in, like while all these bodies are flying around him.
Always.
So he's pretty good with that. So I think that kind of wraps things up from an individual standpoint. We got a bunch of start comments. We got game balls, play of the game. So you guys pick your poison. I don't care.
Do we do start comments first or play the game first? I forget.
We can do.
We do start at the ends. Play the game.
All right, so play the game and game ball.
We have a rundown somewhere. Kraig worked hard on. One day we'll read it.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot. It's not like I clip this show into specific segments later and post.
We had one post game that was perfect, and I think it was the Alabama one. But outside of that,
it was the first one. It was the very first one after I sent you guys the script, and
we'll get it locked in for a Big Ten.
It is
play,
not.
Okay?
It is not Joe taking it off script. Just FYI, Greg.
Yeah, I know. Well, all Bears. If it was a Bears rundown, you'd have me locked in right now. But outside of that, I've got a lot on my mind. So anyway, all right. Game balls. Play of the game. Which one?
Greg Braggs, what was your play of the game?
Well, I mean, come on. Are we all gonna take the behind the back? I mean, that's the low hanging fruit. I guess I got to challenge you guys. I'll take the behind the back from Braden Smith. It was beautiful, and everyone should just be in awe of that greatness that is Braden Smith. It was a beautiful pass. It looked a lot like this one that we saw at Fan Day.
What a pull!
Yeah, you like the
pull?
pull?
I forgot about that one. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
And that's why I got to pick the play of the game for Braden Smith, because it was very similar to Oscar Clough as we saw in that one. But the degree of difficulty on this one, coming to his right more. And splitting 3 defenders and leading him to the hoop from that angle. Again, my wife not appreciating this to the level that she needed to, as I took the time to show her the replay, really irritates me. And so we're going to do a film breakdown as soon as this postgame show is over.
There you go. I'll go next. For me, 7:20 left in the first half, and it's not like a super flashy play or anything like that, but it's coming out of a timeout. Rutgers was, I believe, on their 10-0 run. It was, I believe, 20-18, if I'm recalling correctly. Basically, Purdue runs a bunch of decoy action, and all they're trying to set up is just a TKR one-on-one ISO from the elbow. They clear the right side of the right side of the lane. He catches at the left elbow, rips, goes against Battleau, who only played 4 minutes in this game, cooked him, got a layup, stopped the 10-0 run, and kind of got Purdue. I mean, that was what started Purdue's 10-0 run. So nowhere near as flashy as maybe Braden Smith's pass, but I do think it was just important to kind of just, all right, calm Purdue down a bit. So they got going. Just a really good ATO there.
I'm struggling.
I know.
The last two games, I had like 5 or 6 plays written down as like potential play of the games. I got done tonight and looked at my list. I had 1, and Greg took it. So
Oscar Clough had that nice oop at one point.
I'm actually gonna go TK, and this is terrible, but I can't remember if it went to Jacobson or Clough. But like TK had a really, really nice high-low feed that leads to an alley-oop. Anybody remember if that was Clough or DJ? I don't remember now.
No,
I just great oop. This is terrible
when we're
selection.
When we're down to the selection that we have, I just want to highlight our big-to-big passing, because I think that is what makes this offense work so well on top of like Braden makes this offense work, to be clear. But the second thing to me,
everybody in the chat saying it was to Clough.
Okay. There we go. TK to Clough. That's my play of the game. Very memorable.
Yep. All right. Well, good job. We made it through that. I think I made a joke a few years ago when I think we beat the living daylights out of Michigan and at Mackey, and I was like, oh, this isn't as fun. Winning by 40 against Michigan, like you like the matchup, and they're like, that's how tonight feels. It's like they coast for a whole Rutgers game, and you're like, well, I mean, that's cool, but like, like all these other games have been by like 1 point, but they rip your heart out. So you be careful what you wish for. Like, yeah, the close games are fun, but you better appreciate beating these teams by 20, 30 when you do, because, there'll come a day where we're in a dogfight with them again, and you'll remember just how much you hate playing Rutgers. So you got to appreciate it. So, all right, well, let's give out game balls. Mine's going to Oscar Clough.
No. You went first.
Well,
you have to reverse the order.
Did it.
Greg,
I already did it.
You have to
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
are you picking Oscar Clough too?
No, I'm not. That's
okay.
I was mad that he went first, and then I realized who he picked, and I'm not mad anymore. So go ahead.
That's why I went first, because I'm taking Clough. Yeah. The guy has just been so impressive to me here since I was dogging him the first 3 games of the season and sounding like a complete idiot here on these shows. And but at the same time, he has been fantastic. The guy is just a nonstop motor, rebounding machine, everything that he was built up to be in the offseason, from what we heard from you guys in your reporting, Kraig, from what you saw at practices, and Painter kind of getting us ready for this season. And then when Trey Kaufman-Renn came in, how fast these two have been able to kind of come together from a chemistry standpoint has been fantastic, and they both just bring so much to the table. So my game ball goes to Oscar Clough.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna go second because I should have gone first this time. But Joe, does that feel like a guilty admission that like Greg was way too hard on, because he had 8 points and 3 like this is his least impressive game in like the last 6. Do you feel like? Do you feel like this is Greg's apology picking Clough as player of the game this game?
It might be. Although I do think Clough played better than what his stats showed. It's very possible.
Okay. All right. I'm going.
Blake Widmer says Clough didn't even have a good game tonight, but he did make space for TKR rebounds.
He did.
Yeah.
So now Blake's the hater on Clough.
I'm going with Braden. I thought he came out of the gate very early on, saw that his team needed him to score and did that. Still finishes with 8 assists. Super efficient tonight, 4 of 8 from 3, 5-11 from the field in general. Only 3 turnovers to 8 assists, 35 minutes. Thought he was pretty decent defensively. This felt like the first game to me that Braden really put his foot down from a scoring standpoint. It's going to him for me.
All right.
Like, I mean, It has to go to TKR, 19 and 13, 3 assists and a steal. I was going to give it to Jakari. I kind of figured I would end up with that, but I'll say true. It is TKR, 19 and 13, 3 assists. Did go 7-11 from 2. Free throw, I'm going to look. What is his free throw shooting? It feels like it's been better this year. It hasn't been, so I lied there. But yeah, just a 19 and 13 game, and we're like, yeah, cool. Like, good game, TKR. And that's kind of where we're at with him. And that's a testament to how good he is right now.
Do you know why you didn't get to give your game ball to Jakari, Joe?
Because he picked Oscar Clough.
Salty B here in the chat saying my game ball goes to Braggs for throwing off the entire show. Chemistry loss. That's fair. This has not been my best performance. And lucky for you, I will not be on the next post-game show on Saturday. And Joe and Kraig, the real pros, will be able to actually conduct a professional program for you after a huge game on Saturday. So those are the games I do a lot better in because I'm more dialed in, when there isn't Coast City for 30 minutes of a game. So I apologize. You're right. My performance has not been great tonight. I did have some really good thoughts earlier, and now, I've hit my win. I'm now 40. So now I'm feeling it. I'm getting tired. I need my sleep. That's really what this is about. So appreciate everybody hanging out. Let's go through the start comments, see how long my Midwestern goodbye takes. But Scott White says Meyer needs to pass the ball when he is not hitting his shot.
He's just got to find the balance. Like, it's going to come with time of score, facilitator. It also depends on who he's playing with. Like, when he's out there with Braden, he is more of a pure scorer. I think it's fair to criticize him from this game. I do also think he'll eventually get there.
I do think it's also important to just realize he's one of those guys that is a streakier shooter. So, you have to look at his balance over multiple games. There's going to be games where he looks inefficient from the field, and then the next game he's going to shoot 6 for 7. So, I don't think you can take it in a 1-game window, personally, for me.
Yeah, I mean, once he finally gets the lion's share of the possessions and gets to run the offense, I do think sometimes he doesn't immediately get into the offense because he's thinking about 8 different things he wants to do with the basketball. And once he just starts getting into the offense and letting the offense come to him in those moments, I think that's when you'll start to see him shine a little more. Jeremy Hunter saying, feels like Braden got cheated out of at least 2 assists. I know they will review it, and he may end up with 10 tonight. All right, and that's kind of what I'm
confident at least one. I don't know. The second one, maybe. I don't know.
All right, Brad Widmer is clarifying. Blake is in Jamaica. Brad is in West Lafayette. Noted. But then who's I think
we're going to quiz you next time you're on, Braggs, and we'll see.
But I feel like I met the Jamaica one at Fan Day.
I mean,
I think
planes exist.
I don't know if you know this or planes do exist, Braggs. Planes do exist.
Again, asking in the chat, Kyle Thomas says, was Benter injured? I understand if Murphy got the nod over him, but was surprised he didn't get in. The mix towards the end, yes, Benter was ill tonight. No worries there. And Dennis Heasty says the announcers even said the fans at Jersey Mike's was clapping for Braden's pass to Clough. If you have an opportunity, if you recorded it, to go back and watch when they showed the replay going into timeout, watch the student section behind the basket as Braden Smith makes that pass. And the Rutgers student section is notorious for being brutal against other teams, specifically Purdue. I've known a few family members that weren't too thrilled with how the fans are there at times. The entire student section, when Braden, maybe not the entire, but a large group of guys in the student section, when he made that pass, we're all like, I mean, it was so impressive. Even they had to show love there. So Dennis is 100% right. Rickest Morty's says, I didn't really care for the Harris, Cox, Meyer grouping on the floor tonight. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Only played in the first half 2 minutes together. It wasn't a good pairing. I think for it to be at its best, you need one of at least Meyer or CJ to be cooking. Jakari can as well kind of fit into that. they basically just have to survive for those few minutes. And there's going to be games where they win those minutes because Meyer or CJ or Jakari's having just one of those games. But then there's going to be other games like today where it's just kind of survive the few minutes without Braden, maybe lose by a point or two in that section and kind of carry on.
Okay.
My only thing to that is that there have been moments where it's looked really good this year, like at times. So tonight, maybe not so much, but I mean, you're getting a little bit of a preview of the future and like getting those guys in the mix together. And I think it's certainly serviceable.
And they're definitely getting more run than I think any of us really anticipated, at least so far this year, in terms of amount of times you're seeing Braden not on the floor. And I like that. We talked about that in our post-game shows last year. I thought Braden was getting too many minutes, even though I know he can handle them. Like, I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about the end of the year, and I don't see anything wrong outside of the fact that it might hurt his chance at the assist record to let him get breathers and, get this mileage a little more down. So March, he's got a little more left in the tank. I know he can handle it, but war of attrition, it's just kind of human nature, for you to kind of get fatigued, especially as we get through Big Ten play. David Dillman says best front court. I think Kraig kind of echoed those sentiments early. Michigan certainly can make a nod for that. Cam Boozer is an absolute monster, can do things by himself. He essentially scored half the points for Duke tonight in a win over Florida. So there's some good ones out there. Purdue certainly up there at the tops.
Coming into tonight, Purdue had 3 guys in their front court averaging double digits, and the only 2 guys averaging a double-double. So I get it. I get the Michigan argument 100%, and probably would lean towards Michigan, but that's the only one for me.
Yep. All right. G Bolin says TKR player of the game with 19 and 13 tonight. Braden was great, but so many second chance points because of Trey Kaufman-Renn. Len Ream says, I'm really impressed with the way Daniel Jacobson is blocking shots and getting rebounds. After watching Edey for years, I didn't think DJ had the build to muscle his way through, but man, and then something on weight. But regardless, it does seem like Daniel Jacobson is getting better and better with each game of getting his hands up and blocking some shots, even if it means a foul here or there that I'm sure he's trying to avoid.
Yeah, he has the luxury this year of he realistically needs to play 15 to 20 minutes. He can afford a foul or two. 18.2 block rates. That's one of that. He hasn't played enough minutes to fully qualify, but I would bet that's one of the highest in the country right now. If he played enough minutes, it would put him 3rd in the country. Block rate's just like percentage of shots that he is blocking while he's on the floor. So he's almost blocking 1 in every 5 shots that a team takes while he's on the floor right now.
And Brad Widmer from Jamaica says, no?
Wait, I thought it was Brad.
I'm not.
Brad's in Jamaica. Don't shake your head at me, Joe. Get it right. Brad's in Jamaica. Blake's in West Lafayette.
You read the comment. I'm going to go back. I'm pretty confident.
He says DJ kept his streak going. No missed field goals in another game for Daniel Jacobson. Thank you, Brad from Jamaica. And then Linda Jackson says, great show as always. Subscribe and hit the like button on the way out. Boiler up. We appreciate you, Linda, as always, and all of you for hanging out with us. We got 2 super chats here to finish things up. Patel, Boiler up, $2 super chat saying, Boiler up, great free throw shooting tonight. And our guy, Double D Sports, coming in with a $2 super chat saying, great work, fellas. TKR is a beast. Boiler up. Thank you very much, Double D, for tuning in as always, as UConn comes back on Kansas and wins at the end 61-56 for Kansas. I know they're without one of their best players, so they've kind of been fighting through it, but they now have 3 losses on the season. So Kansas is trying to figure some things out, but they gave UConn a good fight here tonight. Rutgers didn't do that as much with the Purdue Boilermakers, as Purdue goes on to win pretty convincingly. I know they didn't dominate in the second half the way some fans wanted, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. Purdue's doing their thing, and now we look ahead to a big-time matchup at Mackey Arena, as Iowa State will visit the Boilermakers in West Lafayette. Blake, did I get something wrong?
There's been a lot of comments. Shout out everybody that's been in the comments. Shout out everybody that is still there. We have a couple hundred watching.
Yeah, I don't know
live.
where Blake or Brad live. And you know what? Frankly, I don't care anymore because you know where I do know, I know where Andy lives. Andy lives in Colorado. You know how I know that? Because it says it in his name. and based off of his profile picture, he loves to play the piano. And if more people could have their name and their profile picture be a little more descriptive so I don't have to play the guessing game, then I won't look like an idiot at the end of shows or at the beginning of the shows or any moment during the show. That's all I have to say. That's my Midwestern goodbye.
You got it. Yep.
Hey, Joe and I will have a preview show out for Iowa State, hopefully by Thursday morning, Joe?
Probably. That feels right.
We'll talk.
All right. Great. Stay tuned for the preview show. It's going to be a big one. You're going to want to know how Purdue can take down Iowa State. These guys do a great job. And we're going to wrap things up as Purdue was undefeated through the month of November. Now we start December in Big Ten play. My Bears were 5-0 in the month of November. And as now we look forward and turn the calendar to a big December. So I'm excited. I'm mentally exhausted, but I'm having fun because I've waited years for my teams to be good. And now I finally get a football team that I can be excited about with my Chicago Bears. So wish me luck on Sunday against the Packers. You guys have been wishing me luck all the way through November, and it's been helping. I can feel it. The Purdue vibes are starting to roll over to the Bears, who are a big cause of my stress in life. And so I appreciate all of you. And that's all I have to say. Big win here tonight for Purdue as they move to 8-0 on the season. And, of course, a big game coming up here on Saturday at Mackey Arena. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And these guys will see you for a preview show and a post-game show here later in the week. Enjoy the rest of your college basketball viewing. Love everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And always, Boiler up.